Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, good night, whatever you want to call it. It's dark outside. And Pastor Norman, you
Hey there.
let me turn my sound down. There we go. Now, can I hear you, Pastor Norman, say something?
Well, hello.
That didn't sound like much.
No, I've got a new gizmo here that gives me a little bit extra sound. Say something else, Pastor Norman.
Well, good evening. How y'all young people doing?
Sounds pretty good. Sounds pretty good. How are you?
I am doing wonderful.
Good. I may have to just put it back on my other speakers. I've got, for whatever reason, this laptop doesn't have a loud, doesn't have a real loud amplifier in it. So
I noticed that with one of my iPads. Same thing.
yeah, I'm gonna go back to so I can hear you. Say something now, Pastor Norman.
Well, hello.
Yeah, I can hear you a little better now. Hear you a little bit better now. Let's see. Today's been a landmark day.
Y'all been busy, eh?
Now I can't hear him hardly at all. Can you?
Mhm.
Shucks. Let me see who's here. I gotta turn you up so I can hear you.
Oh, you still can't hear me?
I hear you, but just it's really low. It's really low. But anyway, let's see who's here. There's my sissy and brother-in-law.
They ain't here.
They're not here.
Mm-mm.
And there's Bernie Byrne. Hey, Bernie.
Vern ain't here either.
And there's Dee Dee and George.
I know Jordan.
And
They ain't here.
and all the others that may be listening hadn't commented yet. I think the country is reeling from aftershock.
Yes. I'm gonna be right back. I gotta grab my phone so I can hit do not disturb so I don't get cut off.
Go ahead. We'll wait on you. Let's see. How you guys hanging in there out there? You okay? Pastor and I been watching the news, and we know it's kind of rocky how it's going right now.
Oh yes.
Let's see. Let me turn this down just a tad. I've got a new speaker for my this got you here, and
Why'd you change it today?
I didn't change it today. Say something, Pastor Norman.
Well, praise the Lord.
It still sounds kind of funny. It sounds kind of funny.
Still sound far off.
It's kind of funny. Well, anyway, we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going. So, have you watched the news today?
I have.
Yes.
I have. And it's a lot going on.
It's a whole lot going on. Yes, it is.
Mhm.
Yes. Jill just popped in, and John Greason's in the house. Hey, John Greason. Hey, are you all right? You keep looking at me. Why do you keep looking at me?
I just wonder what you're gonna do.
About what?
It sound.
Well, I'm working on it, honey. That's what I'm doing. I'm working on it.
Morning.
I'm working on it.
Working on it.
Till it gets right.
She working on it. Morning.
She working
Can
on
you
it.
can you hear it?
Uh-uh.
You can?
Uh-uh.
Well, then I need to work on it, don't I?
Uh-uh.
Jill said, good evening, beautiful people. All right, what is it, honey?
It's my finger.
Oh my God. You're going to be like that tonight.
Uh-huh.
Pastor Mom, what have you been doing today?
Oh, believe it or not, cooking, laundry,
Have you really?
church business. Yes, I have. From the time I got up this morning, I've been doing stuff.
Yeah. And it's okay, sissy or brother-in-law. He said it sounds clear on their side. It's our side. I got a new speaker for this laptop. The laptop's volume is really low. And so when Pastor Norman speaks, sometimes we can hear him clearly, sometimes we can't. It's not him on his end, it's just here on our end. And so I bought an amplifier or a speaker, and I'm trying to adjust it. So that's why you see me doing what I'm doing. Everything's cool. Everything's good. We're just trying to get going here. Yeah. So hoping everybody's okay after all of the things that have gone down today. And we kind of asked ourselves, what in the world do we say? What in the world do you say?
Well, y'all
And all
sound
this
good on
stuff.
my side. Real good.
Huh?
I said you sound good on my side.
Oh, good, good. Well, that's great. It's and like I said, it's not anything with the sound on anybody else's side. It's simply this speaker that I'm using. It's a new speaker that I've got that we're using to try to hear better. So, yeah, but that's all it is. Would you preach Sunday?
Oh, I preached concerning overcoming big obstacles.
Oh my God, that's perfect for today.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
got a call from sister earlier today, and she had called me twice, and I was looking at my phone. I said, "Why is she calling me so much?" And of course, it's because all of the funding that's been cut back on federal funding for a lot of different things. So we'll have to roll with the punches. What you got on your plate tonight, Mr. Sawyer? Anything?
No.
Nothing? Nothing? You? I can't believe that.
I don't believe it.
I really don't believe that. I do not believe that.
Oh, he is going to pull something out of the mystical universe.
I believe that. I do. That something needs to be said. I'm not sure what. But I do know this that I made it again my intent to not put myself wholeheartedly into what's happening, uh, just for sanity's sake, more than anything. For sanity's sake. But what do you say to people when they're faced with these challenges that are about to happen to us? And it's going to trickle down and touch so many people.
Mm-hmm.
It's,
It's
and
hard. It's hard not to have the discussion. I mean, we live in this nation, in this world,
yeah,
and so it is the discussion. I mean, matter of fact, of course, y'all know, Errol, Elder Errol Washington. Him and along with my wife, we was sitting here watching, seeing it, and talking about all the different things that's happening. Even because he works in education, and
yeah,
so there's things that's about to happen with that, and then of course, you've seen the major I would say deportation
yeah,
efforts that was in Chicago and other areas. And so my wife got a call down in Georgia, where she's from. There were maybe close to 1,000. They say hundreds, but that means about around 1,000 uh,
mm,
workers, because most of them Mexicans and so forth work in hotels, and they came in and got them. And yep, so
wow.
there's a lot that's going on. So, like I said, it's hard not to have a discussion, no matter what arena, because it's right there.
It is. It
It's
is.
right there. Yeah,
And unfortunately, we can have the discussion, but not necessarily have solutions.
exactly.
The only thing I know to say is to make it your determined intent to stay in peace as much as possible,
Mhm.
and to make room for potential positive outcomes if you can, so that you can at least not get bogged down by it. Only to see what John Greason just said. He said, had a good life the other day and watched the previous webcast where you rang the bell and saw me resonate. Not sure what that means, but okay. Okay. And did you see the one, John, where he put the thing on his head? That's the one that was so funny. You put that gong on your head.
Yeah.
You did and hit it. I don't know if that's the one you're talking about or what, but yeah, that was funny. That was way back too, John. It was way back.
Wow.
That's
Yeah,
way back.
way back. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, Pastor Norman, being a pastor in your area, have you heard from any of your people other than you talking about Earl? Have you heard from any of your other people regarding what's going on?
Not really. That has not really been a discussion from any of my people. Of course, when you're out and about doing running errands or whatever, you'll run into a few people that may ask me a question. What do I think about what's going on? And of course,
Mhm.
I'm in agreement with you that in spite of what it looks like, I am looking for a positive outcome. And
Yeah,
and if we, believe in different not just natural laws but spiritual laws and so forth, all things gonna work together for the good. And that's we use it as a cliche, and I keep telling people, especially in my church, don't just quote scripture for the sake of quoting because it sounds good. Do you really have any insight or revelation of what you're saying? And so, we always tell people, trust in the Lord, lean not to your own understanding, and all that ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. And so
yeah,
I kind of believe the old concept of before it gets any better, it's
it
going to
hits
get
first.
worse at first. And
Well,
so,
I was listening to a gentleman today. I don't recall his name, but I listened to him. He was an economist, an older fella. I think he was a natural professor, and he teaches economy. And he was saying that what has happened over the years, this didn't just happen with the last 2 or 3 administrations. This has been an ongoing thing. He said at one point, America was the superpower.
mhm,
And now it is in decline because there are other countries that are banded together and they now have a higher percentage of everything as far as goods, finances, all of that, more so than the United States. So the United States is really in decline. And I didn't say that to cause anybody, to be anxious, more anxious, but it is the reality of it. So what is happening is the super wealthy are trying to preserve and salvage this country, not so much for those of us who are the common uh, middle class and lower, but for those who are the upper super wealthy, and because they know it's in decline. So these are last ditch efforts
mhm,
to try to save this country and keep it as a superpower. We have been very fortunate in this country to not have to experience what some other countries have experienced.
mhm,
But we are not exempt. And I think that's what Americans are now facing. They're not exempt from some of the hardships that other countries have gone through. So I told my sister, I said, it almost makes me want to go back and revert to my old ways. Go ahead and pray real hard until I pray through and break through and do some spiritual warfare.
that's what I was going to say. Go into spiritual warfare. But I,
I
I,
do
I
that.
like what you said, though. I like what you said about the other countries. Yes, we know that America for a long time been considered a superpower, but the thing that
Mhm.
you just stated was there were other countries that came and they band together.
Yeah.
And so that's an indication because it's been said ever since the pandemic that our nation has been more divided than it's ever been. And so that's part of the decline. And that's why we're no longer considered a superpower because we're not trying to work together. We become so party oriented until
Yes.
it's funny. We don't, practice the bipartisan, just cross the lines and let's look what's best for the country, not trying to feed my ego and I can go on and on and on about the certain individual, but
Yeah.
it's about coming together, and that's the only way we'll be able to recapture once again the glory that America once had.
And the truth is, and you know this, and we all know this, that there are so many things that have been done under cover, or I should say, behind closed doors. Both parties are broken, uh,
Hmm.
and there's not the possibility of a new party emerging. It's pretty much been kept at bay, where nobody's not able to start a new party. Um, so it's we know that there are things that must be exposed. We're not sure how it's going to be exposed, but I'm ready for the exposure. Not sure how it's going to impact all of us, but it's time for the truth to come out.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is simply a beginning of that truth coming out. Um, as unpleasant as it may be, and as I want to uh, speak to the anxiety that's over some of us, some of the people who are listening, and some of the people who are afraid. There's a lot of fear right now and panic in our country. And so I just speak out into the ethers, just speak the peace of God into their souls and their minds and their feelings, and to fall back on the knowing that we will be taken care of. God will take care of us and we'll be okay. And one thing I do know from watching nature, whenever there is imminent danger, there is not just one animal that gets it. They all get the information and they all respond. So until all of us have the intuitive knowing that something terrible is about to happen, we're going to just sit still, be still, and know that I am God.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I have a question. And I wonder if y'all notice it as well. You know, back in, and I say this back in the day, especially like I said, we're not trying. It's everything is going to kind of merge together with us
Mhm.
talking about, you know, the
Okay.
spiritual things, some of the political things going to come in and other things as well.
Yeah.
But have y'all noticed that back in the day we used to have, even in our government and even amongst the political arena, we will always have an individual that would be a strong spiritual voice
Hmm.
amongst the politicians. And I don't see that now. Back in the day, there was Billy Graham and Oral Roberts,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, who somehow they won the hearts of a lot of the political leaders back during their time, and they were able to consult and be part of whatever was going on, whatever. I haven't seen that since they ever. I have not seen
Mm.
anyone become a strong, dominant, spiritual voice amongst that arena.
I'm in agreement. In fact, I haven't seen any heroes lately.
Mhm.
Um, and not sure where they're gonna come from if they're gonna rise up out of the ashes. So it's kind of a new day. It's definitely a new day for all of us. John Greason says we will have a breakthrough. Yes, and
Yes,
and
yes.
the one thing that I am assured of is that we will be okay. In the meantime, I think there's going to be some challenges that we'll all have to navigate through, but maybe not as much as what we think. So we'll see. We'll wait and see. Just to give God a chance to let things unfold on our
Mhm.
behalf. Yeah, on our behalf.
Yep.
So, what you reading, Mr. Sawyer?
Just glancing.
You just glancing?
Mhm.
What do you feel about all this stuff?
I really didn't want to talk about it, but
Well, we don't have to talk about it.
well,
You
but
said you had nothing to say.
I think somebody gonna try to stop him, but it won't stop what's going on, but it's gonna stop him. I really feel like somebody gonna try to lay him down because he was the one that activated it.
He's the tool. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's the tool.
and they don't like it. It's a lot of protesting gonna be going on, a lot of
Yeah, yeah,
fighting,
yeah.
and they already on the newscasters have already fight against themselves.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So that is not going to end, and everybody's going to be glad that 4 years go fast.
Yeah, I'm beating Godspeed.
Well, I
Because
mean, now
wait,
I must say we're actually. I mean, we normally, I know scripture said we don't, but we have been in it. But it's not about the government at all. All right, about what's going on. Because we have been on a 21 day consecration, but it's not about this. This deals with enlightenment,
Mhm.
and so forth, understanding, becoming more sensitive to who we really are, And so that's how we came out with the whole concept of big and stuff like that. So it has nothing to do with what's going on with the government or anything like that. But the thing that really gets me is this, and going back to what you said, Ma, again, I'm surprised that, and it's an indication that they are darkened and that they don't know who they are and so forth and so on, because I don't understand why they don't have the revelation of the concept of we could get more done if we just come together versus being so divided.
Well, that's interesting you said that, because when I was listening to the economist talking today, he said back when Richard Nixon was in office and the inflation was terrible, he said Richard Nixon did something. We don't talk about any good that he's done, but this particular thing he did was good. He said Richard Nixon actually sent out an executive order that no entrepreneur or employer could raise their rates. And immediately inflation went down. I thought, man, if it's that simple, we don't have to raise interest rates. We don't have to do all of this other stuff. That's all that has to be done. So it's really, really simple, because, and he mentioned the fact that it's all about putting the squeeze on those of us who are what we call the common man, so that the rest of the country can be okay. And so it's, while it is a conundrum about all of the things that are happening, it is a positive thing, because somewhere along the way, it's forcing those who have been kind of lethargic and indifferent, it's forcing them into a place of not wanting this kind of energy.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's the good part. That's the good part. Not wanting this energy, not wanting to live in this fearful energy or anxious energy.
In the old days, they used to say, he gonna mess around and get a ball.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with that.
Somebody gonna want to put a ball in it.
It's probably quite a few want to do that right now. Yeah. But then, go ahead.
But that it's not going to be over until somebody. I can tell you, it's going to be a shot to be shoot, and a shoot be aimed at stopping him. And it ain't over yet till somebody do it. But I feel sorry.
You're not encouraging that.
No, I'm not encouraging it. But this is some of the people he done got out of jail, out of prison, then already went back.
And we've been talking about this energy that's been unleashed in the country for quite some time. It's not just now.
No, it's been going on.
It was unleashed way back during even his first campaign. And so what we're seeing now is that monster has been unleashed. The Kraken has been let out. And now, unfortunately, a lot of people feel it's okay to express that kind of fighting against one another. And they're not. So if we were to pray for anything, it would be to pray for unity and for peace.
Exactly.
Yes, for unity more than anything.
And I can tell you from what I understand about the higher self, he ain't gonna do nothing. He ain't gonna do nothing. And these people that prophesy the devil, evil, Satan, demon, principalities, and powers, and the rulers of darkness.
Well, we know this, that God has not been surprised.
No.
God has not been surprised, and God has not, as you would say, gotten his panties in a wad.
His what?
His panties in a wad. That's what you would say.
Yeah. When was it enough?
Or gotten upset. God is not upset about what's going on. So if we remain,
it's going to run its course.
If we remain as,
and what is ever plotted in this course will be what you hear somebody say, I told you. That's what it's going to be. I told you. I know he's going to go. Now he's up in age and his mind is flipping. And we think Biden was sick. This man is sick. He is going to hit the switch on it. He done already hit the switch on the inside to shorten his life with the the self-centeredness and all of those who are, I'm gonna shut up.
Yeah, because we don't want to take sides.
I'm not taking sides. I'm just telling you what the results are. If you keep running bald head tires on your car, the only way you can keep mosquitoes off of them is put turpentine on it. There's gonna come a time when your turpentine ain't gonna work.
Well, you know, this is a chance for us to see if our country has really good checks and balances, if it really works.
It'd be better off put iron wheels on this car
I was just reminded of what Renee's put on
and try to
there.
put air in.
I was reminded of what Renee put. She said several judges already put a temporary block on the freeze, and that's
What
good.
have?
Put a temporary block on that freeze.
Yeah, on the federal funds and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Some people concerned about if they're going to be able to get Pell Grants and stuff to go to college, and so he's trying to stop all federal funds going out and to assist. Yeah. But,
Now, I think that we all should, I hesitate to say this, but I think we all should give him the benefit of the doubt, not knowing where he's headed with all of this, because we don't have a bigger picture, and I don't have all of the ins and outs and say that I could speak on what's the best route to take. I'm just concerned about all of the people that will be impacted, but at the same time, I don't know what's best. I have to suspend my opinions in order for us to see what really is best for the country, really is best for everybody. Now, I want to mention what Pearl says. She said, if we go back into the Old Testament, God used a lot of so-called evil kings to bring about his plan, including Pharaoh. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So why would this day, in this day and time, it be any different? And it wouldn't be. It is not. It is not.
That's why I've been sharing with as many people that I would talk to. Be aware, but don't be alarmed.
Exactly.
Just be aware, observe. Don't get. That's what I said. I'm good. I'm not. I mean, I don't like what I'm seeing with some people. Other people are going through, but I'm not at this point where I'm on the edge of pins and needles, and I can't sleep at night. I'm worried what I'm going to do. I'm good, really good.
And I'm not even angry. Some people are angry. I'm not angry. And like I said, and I know when I say this, I'm stepping out on a limb because not everyone agrees with what I'm saying, but he should be given the benefit of the doubt because we don't know, sitting in that Oval Office, what he sees, what we don't get privy to. We are not privy to all of the information. So we don't know what is triggering this or that directive. So I just leave that alone. Mm-hmm. And thank you, Pearl, for that. That was very well said, very well put. Thank you so much, sweetheart. So it's all about allowing to be what is to be. Mm-hmm. And focusing on that is more positive to potentially be more positive. And that's what we're going to do.
Now, let me ask you this question. Coming from the place of oneness, we know that there's no separation, but do you believe in the concept of there are times where Father will say, I'm just going to sit back and allow and let them do what they're going to do because of us being positioned as, according to Psalms 82, gods in the earth. He gave, the heavens is his, but he gave the earth unto men. Mm-hmm. So do you think that, and I'm thinking of, I even right now, even thinking about the movie Eternal, where they were given instructions to not interfere with man. Let man do what they're going to do. So that's what. Do you sense that he made Father just say, "I'm not going to interfere. We're going to just let this play out."
Yeah, I do believe that. In fact, that's what you were saying a moment ago. God is, if you're going to use the word God or the true self or that is the essential self, it's doing nothing, mm-hmm. and it is observing, mm-hmm. without sarcasm. Not I'm going to sit back and watch this. No, not that kind of watching, but watching the choices that man makes and not interfering with it. Sort of kind of like we sit back and watch the ants when they're building their houses and they're going back and forth, kind of just watching it without sarcasm, just watching the activity. And I've heard another minister say this, which I agree with. Some may not. I don't think God is in all of our elections directly. We chose this president. It wasn't God that chose this president. We chose this president. And so it's now we have to live with this president, this choice, I should say, this choice that was made.
Which brings up the concept of be careful what you ask for.
Exactly. And this is the positive side to it. I remember when my mom was living and my brother was living with her. My brother, as you know, I've said before, he was a substance abuser, wasn't very responsible. But there were things that I wanted to be done for mom while she was there in that house that I needed to have done. And I didn't really have the money to pay for it, and neither did she. And I was asking God in my own way how to get it done for her. In the meantime, my brother took it upon himself to rally up and gather up all of his buddies in the neighborhood to go back in the back of her house and get rid of all of the brush and stuff that was back there. But they wanted it for some money, and which we didn't have. But in the meantime, it got done. And it was done because really all of his buddies wanted was a drink. So it was done for very little money. I was upset with him for doing that without talking to me, but nevertheless, the prayer was answered. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times we want to tell God how it should be done, or we have in our mind how it ought to be done. And he'll completely backdoor you. Mm-hmm. Completely. But the prayer was answered by an unlikely source. Yeah. So that, again, because we're not privy to all of the information, we cannot make an accurate judgment.
Nope.
You cannot.
Nope.
Suspending judgment is really a big deal. Putting a hold on your opinions is really a big deal. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and trusting that everything's not everything's in control, but trusting that you will see in the end where this is all going, and it will be for your good. And that's the thing.
That's a good point, Ma. That word trust, because trust should be to the place where you don't have these overwhelming feelings or overwhelming concerns or these overwhelming. Now, notice I use the word overwhelming because you're going to have, because
you're going to feel it. Yeah, you're going to feel it.
But to the point that it just overwhelms you, that's not trust. That's not confidence in our Father. And so,
and that's what you were saying about. That's what you were asking about the Father. Yeah.
Right. And so I think that's going to be the main thing that we are going to wake up to. Do we really trust He who is totally in control?
Mm-hmm. That's it. And I think the answer is not fully. Not fully. Yeah. If we're honest.
Exactly.
If we're honest, we don't fully trust. We kind of halfway trust. It's like the little pilot light that's still burning on my fireplace. I know it will light, but will it light?
Will it light?
I know it's there to be lit, but will it light? So that's the kind of trust we have at this moment. We know God does have us in His heart, and it is a concern for all of us to be have a positive outcome. but we don't know how it's going to be done, and we don't know if it's going to be done without us uh, having to go through any particular thing. So this is where we are. It's a halfway trust, but it's getting there. Sissy says, yes, that's true. It may be to build accountability among agencies. Yeah, that's true too. Our program has very strict regulations. I believe things will work for our good. It's something we need to see by all. Yeah.
Now, she just brought out something I've been studying concerning laws, not just natural laws, but spiritual laws, and um, all the different, because there's a scripture that says if there was no law, there would be no sin.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm,
so I've been really wrapping my mind around different laws where it it don't even matter the circumstances or situations. It's still going to remain the same. Like the law of gravity, whatever goes up must come down. The law of motion, all these different things. And so I've been comparing that which the spiritual laws, because if we talk about the kingdom of God, every kingdom has rules or regulations.
mm-hmm.
And so I've really been dabbing into understanding the spiritual laws, which right now, and I've studied about 31 of them. And
Mm.
so it's very interesting because,
You know what, Pastor Long, you need to share that with us at some point. The
okay,
law that you've come across. You don't have to go into actually expounding on each of them, but I would like to know what they are. If,
okay.
just at some point, one of the sessions that when you come together, give us those spiritual laws. You said there are 31 of them.
Well, yes, because I, like I said, doing research and so forth, and I discovered there's 31 spiritual laws. Um,
Mm,
but actually, though that's one case,
mm,
31, there's others that then they kind of blend in, like the law of attraction,
oh yeah,
um, is one. They talk about the law, once again, we talk about the law of faith and all those
yeah.
different
Then
things.
there a lot of people have gotten focused more so on the law of attraction, but there's a law that's higher than that one, and it's called the law of allowing.
Allowing, and that's one. That's actually
That,
one.
and that's what God operated. If the narrative is true, that's what God operated in Genesis when He said, "Let there be."
Hmm.
There's a letting there be, and moving into that, there's a whole lot more contentment. In the law of attraction, we tend to want to try to put forth an energy effort, but in the law of allowing, it's simply a stepping back and watching or allowing and letting it be. And I heard, I think it was Father Richard Rohr, who just did a new book called The Universal Christ. And Oprah was interviewing him, and he said that we should always be like water. He said water flows downhill,
Hmm.
and nothing can obstruct it. It'll find its way down no matter what is put in front of it. And so this is the way we should be in our neutrality, uh, knowing that it is moving and always flowing. And so the law of allowing is a higher law. It's a let there be. Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
We have never stopped experimenting with our potential and our ability to create in this infested world. And we've been using the power of our higher self
Mhm.
and then reverting back to asking God to fix it
True.
when it's been the higher self. See, a lot of people don't understand this power and this ability is so open
Yeah.
that it does not choose who to let itself be.
Hmm.
So it is really in the hand of the decider decision as to what he want to do with this power.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can get a baby, we get twins, we can not get none at all.
Yeah.
So that's our power.
I
Yeah.
don't want to be.
And the power has no preference. This God power has no preference. as to who it would flow through.
And it takes on any platform that but it's not something that was given. It is something that we're made out of.
Not does it. It doesn't have a preference as to who it would flow through, nor does it have a preference as to how it would be used, whether it would be used for good or for bad.
And we came here given choice. We came here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we fulfilling the contract.
We are fulfilling the contract. Yeah.
I just had this impression it's not dark enough. And so it's in the darkest of times that we see the greatest magnitude of the light of God. And so I heard it's not dark enough. So going back to what we said earlier, it may get, I ain't gonna use the word, it may get darker.
It may get darker. That's okay.
Yeah.
But you know what, like you said, what's born in the dark, there will be other solutions given to those of us who are experiencing this shakedown, I should call it, that will really catapult everyone into a better way of things working, and all of this. It is set up, it's prime set up for in an innovative idea.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things I shared last Wednesday in the midst of all of the snow. That, you know, on a topic of big, you know, I was telling them to go big, and so challenge yourself, do something that you never did before. So that's where we come with, you know, the Star Trek, boldly going where no man has ever gone before. But I said, nah, make it personal. You boldly go where you never been before. Somebody might have been where you have tried to get, but you tried to make it. And so I was telling them, because when you do that, you become very innovative. You come up with creative ideas and so forth. And so that's when your higher self is elevating.
Yes, and some of us have gotten really, really comfortable and lax not having to come up with those innovative things because we've just kind of fallen into the system. I like what Vincent said. He said, mindfulness will carry us along the wind like the river. Yes, sir. It sure will. And hey, Vincent, by the way, how you doing? And so, yeah.
See Vincent.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he was here Sunday with us as well. Glad he's back with us tonight. So the opportunity for inventions, new ideas, other ways to get things done, like Renee said, it is to expose also, because she said the programs that they have very strict regulations. And so it's to kind of revamp all of that. So it's not all a bad thing. It's not all a bad thing at all.
And we've been saying it for years. That's why we know this ain't just starting, because ever since we started using that word shift, there's a shifting in the atmosphere. We sing the songs, we preach the messages. Now it's here, and now it's making us so uncomfortable.
Yeah, it is.
And I have to admit, the country do need a laxative.
Well, it's very cathartic right now, I tell you. But I believe
that is funny and very graphic, but very true. Very true. Very true.
And we're taking these little bitty pills, and them little they're not working. There ain't enough power behind them. So God just said, well, I'll let you use your own formula, and you're going to clean your own self out, and then you come back to me and say, what else, Lord? And he ain't gonna tell you nothing else, because you finished what needs to be done. Once that gets straightened out, once the digestion of this country gets straightened out, and please believe me, it ain't gonna be straightened out just like that.
No.
But I like what you said, Dad. I like what you said, because what's happening is we're seeing the power of the gods, not God singular, but the gods. We're seeing the power of the gods, and goes back to what you said, Pastor Norman, is that there are things that the gods have done, and now it's the gods who has to bring about the unity and the harmony or whatever. And so it's still that same power that we talk, that same God power, put into the hands of men, and how they use it will be determined by how quickly they can see that we're all the same and we're all one. I wrote this down. This has been some time ago. I wanted to just read it, and I wrote it as a devotional, and I called it today's exercise. And it says, "Let go and allow what is to be. Simply be. Don't worry about things that you have no control over. Fretting just diminishes your experience of bliss. Practice placing your attention only on the desired good rather than focusing on the bad that may or may not happen. Just as a meteorologist predicts the weather by watching patterns in the atmosphere, we normally predict what will happen in our future by the signs that we see in our lives. If we believe what is seen, felt, or heard, our minds paint a picture of how things will probably turn out. Usually, a lack of success in any area is considered a bad sign. Signs of too little or no money, pain or disease in the body, strained relationships, inability to find a job, or etc. They all strike fear in our hearts and cause us to predict the worst. When we base our prediction of the future on these signs, we are then living in the realm of probability and will probably see those things we fear come to pass. The good news is you can create a better future by living in the realm of possibility. And the Bible tells us that all things are possible to him who believes. And this is some more than I'll just stop there. So it's about us not allowing our minds to predict what is going to take place because we don't know. But the mind will predict, and it'll draw a picture, and then the fear and the anxiety gets bigger.
Exactly.
So, Mr. Sawyer, you started off talking to us about the power that the gods are using.
Yeah, we came here using that power in blindness.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be like that for a long time, and we'll be on the other side. I used to hear people talk about, well, the Lord is soon to come.
Mm-hmm.
I heard it so much. I used to tell them, I said, just stand up on your head and fart straight up in the air because you're not going to see it in your generation. But you can find Jesus in your personal self if you want to. But most people don't believe that with all the evil that is inside the mind, that there's a possibility that Christ could be in all of this.
Yes.
If he sat at the table with the 12 and Judas was there, he can sit at the table with 2 and he still be there and you'll never see him.
Mm-hmm.
Most people in what we're into don't see Christ, don't see Jesus, even though they talk about him being in them. They don't see him in them.
They don't.
They don't see him in, because nobody never told you. If we told you where he was, like we've been saying, the mind will talk you out of it every time. And like I asked the police one time, and you heard me talk about when I was taken to jail for speeding. I heard so much about police beating men and people in the elevator, going up in the elevator with a blackjack. And so I never been in the elevator with a policeman. So I heard all this stuff from conditioning. Mm-hmm. So I stood over in the corner. I said, now, are y'all going to whoop my butt? I didn't say it like that. I said it straight out. And they looked at me and said, yeah, they looked at me and said, no. And I know now that if they wanted to, they could have put me under a judgment and say, take this car home. And if we catch you out here anymore, we're going to lock you up. Yeah. Oh, they didn't do that. I told them, I said, well, I ain't done
nothing. You knew they could give you a break if they wanted to.
Yeah, if they wanted to. And it's the same with the president. He don't have to go the way he's going. He can stop. He can stop doing what he's doing. But he done lost himself into a course in miracles. And that Course in Miracles in his head is, when I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, and again, it isn't so much, I don't want to focus on him because it isn't just him. There are the powers that be behind him. So
Exactly.
it would happen anyway. And so it isn't for us to look at a point of finger. I'm determined I'm not going to point a finger. I will not allow that. But it is for us to be aware that he is the tool and the instrument. So we should pray for our president. We should pray for him.
I remember my uncle was like the kitchen wood stove, getting ready to make a fire in the kitchen. And he didn't pay no attention to the cinders that was still hot down in the grate of the stove.
Mm-hmm.
He took that little oil can and poured that kerosene in there.
Did it explode?
All the lids on the top of that stove blowed up.
Yeah.
That's what ignorance will do for you. That's what ignorance will do that for you.
I backed up, looked at it, and it done blowed his mustache and his eyebrows white.
You know, I did that with that. I did that with that gas.
Yes, you did.
Grill. I
Grill. It set her back on her butt on the ground. I said,
not knowing how to light the gas grill. Yeah, it just set me in my behind.
I thought maybe we're gonna have to do a
And
funeral.
all my eyelashes were blonde.
I mean,
Wow.
it was 4 or 5 eyes in the store, and all of them jumped up.
And the front of my hair was singed and it was blonde.
I wanted to feel sorry for him. I didn't for another part and say, no better for you. No more. You should have known better than that.
That's what ignorance will get you, I tell you.
And it didn't do not one thing to him. Made him meaner.
Wow.
So you know,
why'd you bring that up?
You what?
I forget. Because we were talking. Well, why'd you bring it up?
Sowing and reaping. That's it.
Yeah.
He know better than do that.
Karma is karma.
Karma lay.
There you go.
And
He set it all in motion.
And here he done a little boy. He done already grew up and where a pot of grease fell on his head and burned all his hair off.
You talking about your uncle now?
Yeah. And not mine. Him.
Your uncle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he done been in something all his life. And I said, anybody got any sense that you wouldn't take a kerosene can and pour kerosene down?
See, all of the places, all the lids jumped up.
All 5 of them, all 4 of them.
This was one of the cook stoves. It was a cook stove.
Yeah, the old wood stove, cook stove.
Wow.
And it blowed them plates up off of that stove. Boom, and go bam, 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 back down. I stood there and looked at him when he did.
Oh,
and he wouldn't. You take a piece of pine and you light it and put it in there.
Yeah.
He put the kerosene in there, and it blowed it. He'd come back looking like Santa Claus.
That's what our president just did.
Yeah.
He threw oil in there and went boom.
He would jump back at look like a bald head Santa Claus with a mustache.
Yeah, you gotta give us time to process all this stuff.
I'm telling you, I just stood there and looked at it. I said, they should have blown you back in the front room, but he didn't. I didn't say it to him because it really scared him.
Oh, I believe.
It scared him. I put I used to take the water hose. I washed the car. I used to like to mess with the water hose. He did some mean thing, but I just wanted to fix him good. So when I got through with the car, washing the car, I just stuck the water hose up the exhaust pipe.
Oh no.
Dad, you serious? Dad. Wow.
He was bad. He was
I walked
bad.
off and left it in there. So man, he dropped.
He was bad.
When he backed out the driveway, I
Wow.
thought he was going to skeet water. It went pull.
Ooh, you was mischievous, Lord have mercy.
I think he had to go trade that old Chevrolet too. He had to go trade
Wow.
it. But it was water.
It wasn't any more good.
It was water in the cylinder. Well, he could have dried it out and still drove it, but it wouldn't work right. But I feel that oil pan up with water. I didn't know it was going to do that. I thought it was going to just go in there and just puddle up and just blow out when he took off. Or he took off water and just squirting.
You deserve a bunch of cookies.
Water just squirting.
Yes, yes, yes. Ooh.
Well, you know, I was thinking, I'm changing subjects a little bit, but I bet there are a bunch of Christian groups right now, Pastor Norma, who are coming together to pray to change this whole thing for the country. But I remember this old adage that somebody put in. I can't remember who wrote it. They said a scared prayer ain't worth nothing. And so
that's what it would be.
A scared prayer ain't worth nothing.
And that's the thing. It keeps, like I said, in the midst of all this, there's a revealing, of what we've been doing and who we are and how we've been acting, or revealing of our behavior patterns. Like you said, every time something tragic would happen, there will always be a prayer meeting at the church. All right. Anytime something could be catastrophic, prayer meeting at the church. And then when everything settles down, okay, no more praying.
Right.
They go back to the same old, just like protesting. And I share this with some, we get together doing the protests and everything, and then everything settled down. What now?
Yeah. So it's worth
had to fight one another again, and and it's like, I don't think y'all see what's really trying to be revealed. We're not examining that we all have these conditioned behaviors that are not helpful, ain't working, ain't, like you said, scared prayer ain't worth nothing. Exactly. It's empty, it's void.
Yes. So it falls back on trust again.
Exactly.
Falls back on that and trusting. Trust is different from faith. Faith, most of us have learned to use our faith to try to make things change and to try to put forth some type of energy that will cause things to be different. But trust is a sitting back and watching and knowing that it's like that pilot light. I know that pilot light's still burning, that pilot light's still burning.
Knock you
and
back
that
too.
The potential for that to happen is there. That the potential for that to turn around is there. The potential for this to become a positive thing is there. So we don't have to go through a whole lot of fretting.
My mama was dating this old guy one time, and she had to go to jail because of him back when I was little. And everybody in the apartment was saying that she shot him. Well, come to find out, they said that she shot him while he was on the toilet. So
she denied it.
She denied, but she went to jail. And now I said, I went in the bathroom and looked at the commode and see if a gun went off in it.
Did it bust the bowl?
It would have busted the bowl. It wasn't no bowl bust. He was busted. He never.
So it must not have happened even there.
No. She didn't shoot him in his wacky tacky. She didn't shoot him at all. And everybody going around the house.
How did he get shot then?
I don't have no idea. He went in there with the gun down in his belt, and it must have went off. She come home, got out the police.
This story.
Oh, I mean, it's the thing. The moral of the story is she was messing around with people she had no business messing with, partying, and she got in trouble. When you start doing stuff like what we run into with the president, all you need to do is just sit back, turn your television on, and look at what you want to, and wait.
Exactly.
And wait. Them old boys used to tell me when I was in the factory, they say they cheat in fishing. They take these batteries out there in the boat, John boat, and they hook cables to them and electrocute the water.
It's cheating.
And it's cheating.
Yeah.
And fish would just come to the top.
You remember we went to where was it? We went to Morehead City. And we were out at the beach, and we were getting ready to fish, and we were surf fishing, I think.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the fish started jumping up out of the water.
Yeah.
We didn't realize they were jumping mullets, so we weren't going to catch anything with our we needed a net because they were jumping up
Oh,
like this.
And to get to them, you got to go about 4 or 5 feet or more out in the ocean. By the time you get out there, you building sunk. But anyway,
And now, as short as we are, we didn't have to go out very far.
Well, that means we weren't going to get many fish either because they way out there. They're way out there in the water.
Y'all weren't told to launch out into the deep end.
I went for the
feet, we'd be up to here already.
But it's some crazy things that happened to us in our growing up that we know that if we don't learn from these lessons, we're going to keep repeating them over and over again.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I think this is the last time our president is going to be repeating this personally himself, because when this thing is over, all of the mud is going to be sitting in his lap.
But going back to what Mom said, we keep saying the president, right? But it's really not. It's
not revenge, but it's just the law of karma.
Yeah, but not only that now, but he's become the focal point. But remember, he's where he is because the majority of the people of this nation put him there.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's what so is showing. It's a reflection on them, not so much him.
That's it.
Yeah.
He came along being the one that is different. And so that was the attraction. He got everyone wanted something different. And then he gave them that. And so we, the people, put him there. So he's just being who he was all the time.
Think about if he ran 25 years ago, 40 years ago, there was no way in the world anybody would have voted for him. A person that gets up in the rallies, he calls a woman that bad word. He cusses from, the people would not have back then. But see, there's a shift in the emotional mood and tone of the people now. And
now we've never.
And he fed right into it. And that's why
we never
them and they was just and now they got a lot of regrets.
That's right. We never had a president that talk about grabbing somebody in their pie.
No, never said the things he said, and it's okay. Back then,
now he's gonna have to.
The party would have turned on them so fast until it ain't funny. But now,
and that goes back to what we talked about in another session that we had about the desensitivity. We have been desensitized. A lot of us have been desensitized.
That's what happened when we came here. Got desensitized from our eternal self.
True.
Exactly. Good.
But we have been desensitized through all kinds of venues. TV has desensitized us. Movies have desensitized us. We see murders and we think nothing of it. We go to bed and sleep that night. We see gory things happen on TV and we go to bed and sleep that night. So we've become very, very desensitized. And so it's become like the norm. Exactly. And so anyway, I believe that this is all a part of, like you said, the shift taking place in the way we see things and how we see things. And so the world isn't going to change until our outlook changes. And so it's changing drastically now. And so I'm just looking at, in 4 more years, we'll know exactly what this was all about.
Mindfulness. I see Vincent Kelly saying something about that. My daddy used to be around the ladies upstairs, and whenever he got a certain amount of alcohol, and he went in the front room and laid down. Well, here come old sassafras, and one of them ladies wanted to mess with him while he was laying there asleep. And he hollered off and slapped her. I think her head turned around on our shoulder like Daffy Duck Babe. It went. I stood there and looked at him. I said, now she should have known him better than that. I said, you just don't go messing with just anybody while they're sitting there sleeping and half drunk too. Popped in that thing, that bib said. Now she wasn't wise as Jimmy the Cricket, I can tell you that. And it's just that you learn God's grace will show us the Nebuchadnezzar experience. The boys in the fiery furnace was there because it was something that a leader decided to do to try to get rid of a certain group of boys. It didn't work. It didn't work. Put him in the fire and lit it 7 times hotter.
Mhm.
And hell could not burn up eternity. That's what it was really showing. And then the 4th man showed up. Now, wait a minute. I thought I put 3 in there, and here's another one standing in there. And them boys stayed in that fire and didn't no odor or smoke or something or anything got in their clothes.
Exactly.
I was telling him the other day that I realized something about Daniel in the lion's den. We often focus on the fact that the lions didn't attack Daniel, and Daniel was obviously fasting. But I said, the Lord made the lions fast. That's why they didn't attack him.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So the lions were fasting too.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't hungry.
Makes sense. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want to bite him.
They didn't have a reason to.
Yeah, they wouldn't taste right, especially when he was on a sabbatical. That lion was on a sabbatical. They didn't want to bite them boys. Too much power in there, too much light, especially when Jesus appeared in there in the furnace. And we on a different,
two different
two
things.
different
Same book with 2 different stories. Same book.
Lord, y'all have to help
Are you
me.
here with us? You
No,
here with us?
yeah. I'm still trying to put the fire out.
Listen, guys, I don't know whether you were this helped you or not. If it did, that's good. If it didn't, that's okay. I'm glad you're here with us for our conversation.
I'm being prepared for the Passover.
You are.
I am really. I'm being prepared for the Passover.
Hey.
And about the 6th hour, you shall behold the King, the Passover King, Christ Himself, will always reign as supreme above any darkness or mistake.
Mm-hmm.
The perfect self was always and will always be the Christ in us. Now you can talk about Trump not being saved and unsaved.
It's now that
it's not going to stop.
It's now that we are really the light of this world.
Thank you.
Exactly.
And it ain't Christians that just the light of the world. It's the whole world. It's the whole.
Those of us who are able to see.
That's it.
We are the light of the world. Yes.
Principle is still the same. John Grecian said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's all the same. We're getting ready to take off. We've been in here over an hour. I can't believe it.
Hey, you know what? Hey, I tell you something funny. When I was working in R.J. Reynolds, they gave the stockholders and the employees a right. They could gather up a handful of cigarettes out of the makers and go in the break room and just sit there and smoke till they grow a chimney.
Yeah, my uncle worked for Reynolds, and he would come home. He had his top drawer in his chest drawer was full of cigarettes.
Yeah.
Because he could have as many as he wanted.
You can. And some of them would get caught going out the side doors after work hour, packing cigarettes in bags and selling them.
They didn't want them to sell them.
No, they didn't want to do it. They can have them, but they didn't want to take them out. So I'm in the break room sitting there, and I know how they made them and put them together back there where I worked at, because I know you got a certain time when you shovel up the old rotten to back up under the machine. You didn't have nowhere to throw. You just throw it on the belt, And when the barrels got full, you didn't have nowhere to throw it. It was just like old mud, you just throw it in the barrel and throw it on the belt. And they'd be sitting out there. They'd be just smoking, and all of a sudden, the cigarette would start exploding in their mouth.
Yeah, I've seen that happen. Wow. Just would spark.
It'd be dirt and sand and rat and wood and everything.
It was more than tobacco in that cigarette.
Yeah, it's dirt, sand, gravel, somebody's sock, shoe, rat, everything in there. Maybe just pop.
I've never heard that one before.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And they put K2L is something like bluish green
Something
alcohol.
like a dye or
It's the flavoring. And they put that stuff in there, and anybody got cut, it's like alcohol. You pour it on the soil, it'll heal it up. But they be in there just a smoking and a popping. I look at them, and I didn't smoke. I just looked at them. I just laughed at them. They didn't think me pop, 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 skeet like a firecracker on the end. And especially when they got them Camel cigarettes, they come in and they tip on the end and mash that down.
They didn't have a filter.
They didn't have a filter on.
Right.
Wow.
I saw everything that they did to make a cigarette work. But it was fun. It was fun. And we go to different break rooms. Everybody's got cigarettes. You be piled up on the benches where you sit, and all kinds of crazy stuff in there. But you'll see that in everyday life, and we're going to see more of this stuff as we move into the summer. And summertime is going to really be hot for people to settle down into this or protest.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be fighting for a long time because there's some people that's just absolutely being used by this event to make things happen in a different way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So remember this, young people and young men, be still and know that I am God. Be still and know. Be still and know. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. We will be back on Sunday at 10 a.m. Lord willing, nothing happens. We'll be right back. Pastor Norman will be back at 9 on his Facebook page. Facebook's been doing some weird stuff. And for us, a lot of Sundays, they don't even put our video on. Even though people are watching us through Facebook, when I get back to put titles on it or put a title on it, it isn't there.
What?
That's happened several times. I don't know what that's about. But anyway.
I hadn't had that happen yet.
Well, good. I hope you don't.
I pray I don't.
Yeah, I know it. And I don't know if it's because of some of the music or something that I used, but I used Vincent's music Sunday and they still didn't put it up. So I don't know what that's about.
Now I put on there. Now that could be, but I put in parentheses when I put the title before I start. I say, we do not reserve the rights to this music to any.
Yeah, I've done that, but they still did it to us. So anyway, I'm not worried about it, but I just thought I'd say that. So some of you guys, if you have a problem with Facebook, just let me know. I think we're okay with it, but I've noticed that I've had to upload it a few times to put it on there. So anyway, we're good. So if you can't see us on Facebook, you can always go to YouTube. We'll be back on Sunday. We love you. Thank you so much for your support. And we're going to take off here and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Okay. See you around.